Hi, okay, I'm doing my TOK presentation on lies and deception. So basically this presentation is based around three knowledge issues. One, why do we lie? Two, can it be justified? And three, how has current society changed lying? I'll start off with defining the term lie. A lie is defined as a false statement made with deliberate intent to deceive. Now, when I think of lies, I break them into three different categories: normal lies, white lies, and harmless lies. A real-life situation of a normal lie would be an everyday situation where someone comes up and asks if you have a pencil they can borrow and you just tell them no. When in reality, you have a pencil in your purse, you just don't like them, don't want to lend out a pencil, or just too lazy to grab it. This is obviously a lie. It's not going to help anyone, but it's a false statement made with deliberate intent to deceive. A real-life situation would be a white lie would be something that happens a lot around Christmas time. A grandma, an aunt, or an uncle, or relatives gives you a Christmas present that you don't like. In this case, socks. And when your grandma comes by, you tell her, "Oh, I love the socks. They're so much. They're beautiful. It's just what I wanted." And this is obviously a lie. It's not true, but you're telling it to help make your grandma feel better. This is an example of what I would call a white lie. It's a small, harmless lie, usually in the intent to preserve someone's feelings or help them feel better, and it's not going to hurt anyone. It's really just insignificant. And then there's things I call a harmless lie. The real life situation I'm using here is if you're supposed to be at your friend's house, you text them, "Oh, I'm on the way," when you're really still at home. This happens on a very regular basis, and it's not meant to help anyone, but it's really not meant to hurt anyone. And unless what you're supposed to meet your friend with is extremely important, that you're on time, or you're supposed to go to a meeting or something, this kind of lie is really just a harmless, small lie. And I clarify it different from being a white lie, because white lies are usually meant to preserve someone's feelings or help someone, while a harmless lie is just a small lie that is really of little significance. And don't get me wrong, there are larger lies, like when CEOs lie to their company, or when your country lies to you, or anything involving terroristic threats. There are large lies that can be very harmful. But this would be under the category of a normal lie, as I would put it. And I'll start addressing the first knowledge issue: why do we lie? And there are many reasons why we lie: to save face, to protect a friend's feelings, to get out of trouble. Some people even lie to themselves, but I think that all lies boil down to two main reasons. These two main reasons are: one, personal gain, and two, protection. In personal gain, it's when you're lying to make yourself look better, to avoid getting in trouble, to get yourself in a better situation. Though any of those would be for personal gain. And protection lies, that's if you're trying to protect a friend, trying to protect a loved one, or I think when you lie to yourself, that would go under the protection lies. And really, these are the two main root causes of why people lie. And a TED Talk I watched by a guy named Jeff Hancock is called "The Future of Lying." And I thought it was really interesting. It's all about how technology is impacting our lives and what form of technology people seem to lie more on, and the difference between it. But he said something that was really interesting, and it falls under the area of knowledge of biology. What he said is that humans have evolved to speak in a way in which our words disappear, but we're in an environment where everything we say is recorded. And I find this completely true. Humans have been around for thousands of years, and only in recent history has writing become part of our culture. For the majority of our lifespan, humans, what they said, as soon as they said it, it just disappeared into the air. There was no record of it. Any record of it would be what people remembered. And so we evolved to speak in a way in which what we said was gone as soon as we said it. And now with the era of Twitter and Facebook and everything, what we say is recorded almost constantly. So I think that we might not, in current society, we may not lie more, but it's a lot more easy to catch it, and people pay more attention to it since everything we say is recorded and written down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It might drive people to become more honest in the future. Now, studying the way of knowing of language. If you talk about language and speaking of humans, lying shows the intelligence of cognitive thinking. And humans are the only race capable of purposeful deception. So really, lying is a way to show that we are intellectually capable and intellectually empowered. So although lying may not be the best, it is a way of showing our intelligence and proving that we are an intelligent species. And sometimes it's proven that people regarded as geniuses are especially good liars because they have the capability of cognitive thinking or of extremely good deception. And going on to my next knowledge issue, is it ever justified to lie? I'll take this back to white lies, because these are the lies that I point out to be usually not harmful and usually helpful. Are white lies justified? I believe that in most cases, as long as a white lie isn't proving to be harmful, yes, they can be justified. And if they help someone, then why would they be bad? And looking at the area of knowledge of arts, it's very common for photographers or artists to use Photoshop. Is Photoshop a lie? Is this sort of lie justified? I mean, you see all the times magazines, models are photoshopped to have nicer skin, to be thinner, to just look better. And there's a lot of negative connotations with this because it says that it makes girls want to look like these fake models because these models look nothing like they do in the magazine, and it's setting up a society for girls to try to strive to be like these fake models. And this can be negative and it can have negative impacts, but there's also other kinds of Photoshop. Like a very popular form of art is double exposure photography, and many times if you go into Photoshop and you overlay two photos, it creates wonderful pictures using Photoshop. And even though the photographer did not take this picture, the art they need to create this final image does show talent. They need to be able to take two beautiful pictures from the same angle at the same light and put them together to match and to form into one picture. This is Photoshop, and this is technically a lie since it is not the picture taken. But is this sort of Photoshopping lie justified? Personally, I think Photoshop is a tool, and most people are aware when images are Photoshopped, even with all the negative connotation towards models being Photoshopped to look perfect. Even if girls are striving to look like these models, most of them know that models don't actually look like this, and they are Photoshopped to look this way, and they have seen how real models look. And again, with photography and double exposure photography and other sorts of photography that use Photoshop, in art class, I use Photoshop on almost every single one of my projects to enhance pictures, to overlay images, to add cool effects, and I don't see this as a lie because it does take skill to come up with the original image, the original art, and this is just enhancing it to make it better. So yes, Photoshop is a lie, but I would consider this a more justified lie. In the area of knowledge of ethics, there's a term called altruism. Altruism is the principle of concern for the welfare of others. This brings me to the question, is lying for the good of others justified? This comes back to white lies, telling grandma you love the socks she gave you for Christmas. And I think in this situation, yes, lying is justified. You are not hurting anybody, you're just making your grandma feel better. If, in some cases, lying for others can be bad. Like, if an extreme example, if you had a friend that killed somebody and you lied to cover that up, that could be bad. In either way, if you lie for your friend, you are harming the knowledge of truth be found, and you're harming possibly other people if your friend was to commit this act again. But if you tell the truth, then you're harming your friend. This is the sort of situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
But I believe that lying can be justified if it's in a situation where it proves to be harmless.
And on to my last knowledge issue. How has current society and technology affected deception? One common issue with technology deception is Facebook. Facebook's a way for people to communicate and share information about each other. So on your profile page, you put basic things like where you're from, what school you go to, where you work, your relationship status. And a common lie on Facebook is people will put, oh, they're single when they're in a relationship, or they'll lie about their age, or something like this. And these can be small, harmless lies But if someone goes on the page looking at this and the girl lies about her being older than she is and says she's single when she's actually in a relationship, this could cause problems for her or whoever's looking at her page. These kind of lies are usually harmless lies, but they can turn into something more serious. An example of a more serious lie is a current issue with Match.com. Match.com is a dating site where you put in your information and the site matches you with someone who you would be a good relationship match with you. And honestly, you're meeting strangers. When you sign up for a website like this, you would assume that you would be safe, but there is no formal screening process of the people on the site, so you really could meet anyone. And a recent event happened was a woman went on Match.com, met her match, and the guy turned out to be a criminal, and he stabbed her and tried to kill her. She did end up surviving, but this is just an example of how harmful lying on social networking sites can be. Even in cases of Facebook lying about your age or where you're from, that can be a small lie. But lying on a website where you're going to meet a stranger and you're putting your trust into this website and putting your trust into the stranger for it to be safe, if someone does happen to lie, it can be harmful. So technology is kind of giving us more opportunities to lie. There's always been blind dates, but usually you meet a blind date through a friend or a coworker or something like that. But now with these technological dating sites, you're meeting a complete stranger, and there's really no way of knowing the truth about them until you meet them, and you're putting yourself in a harmful position. And these kind of sites, it's very easy to lie. I mean, on social networking and dating sites, there are common lies. Like a woman will lie and say she's taller than she is, she weighs less, she's younger, and these kind of lies are small lies. And they're usually not harmful as long as they're not extremely exaggerated. But there can be much more harmful lies. So, along with technology being a constant record of us, technology has given us many more opportunities to lie and many more opportunities to be fooled. And it's much less personal, and there's much more opportunities for a stranger to become incorporated in our life because of technology. And back to the area of knowledge of biology. We are constantly connected and constantly recording things, and this isn't what we've evolved to do. So in this sense, in the way of catching lies, I think we may not have been lying more, it is just more easier to catch them. But technology has given us more opportunities to lie and more ways for us to put in a harmful situation due to the lie of others. Now, comparing history now, I don't think in day-to-day activities, I don't think we necessarily lie more. We just lie in different ways. Like now, you'll be running late to your friend's house, and you'll be like, oh, I'm almost there, I've caught every red light, I'm so sorry, I'm a minute away, when really you just wanted to finish your TV episode. This is kind of lie people tell their friends just for personal gain. They wanted to finish their TV episode, and they didn't want a friend to think they were blowing them off, so they make up lies like this. Now, in history, I picture the same sort of thing happening. A man wants to go spend more time with his girlfriend, or he wants to finish up what he was doing, so he shows up at his friend's house on his horse, of course, saying, oh, I'm so sorry, my horse fell down, I had to get him back up, it took a while, when in reality, he just wanted to spend more time doing what he was doing and wanted to save face. Now, this isn't a real situation that I have heard of or anything, this is just what I'd imagine people, how they lied back before there were cell phones or cars or this sort of technology, but the point of this example is that people have always lied, it's just now people lie in different ways, and it's generally more easy to catch someone in a lie. And let me go into claims and counterclaims. A claim would be that lying is justified if it's not causing anybody harm, and a counterclaim would this be lying is immoral and bad no matter what situation. And my response to this would be that morals are not necessarily a defined term. They differ from person to person, and it is unrealistic to implement one moral across the board. Some lies are not harmful in any way. In fact, they have positive outcomes. Now, as we learned in the ethics unit of TOK, people have different ethics and they have different morals, and people believe different things are right and wrong. So to really say that lying is immoral as a straight fact, that's
a extremely generalized statement, and I think it's differs from person to person, and it's not realistic to hold this moral up across the board to everything. So I still stand by the claim that lying is justified if it's not harmful to people. The example of this would be a surprise party. If you're throwing a surprise party for a friend, you tell them, oh, come over at 5, we'll watch a movie, when in reality, there's all your friends waiting at your house to throw a surprise party. This was a definite lie, but it had no harmful results in any way. As long as you know that your friend likes surprise party, you were able to throw your friend a party, which they enjoyed, and they were happy. But you needed to lie to get this done. This sort of lie I see is justified. And another claim is that lying is okay if it's leading towards a positive outcome. And the counterclaim would be there is no way of seeing the future and knowing the outcome. And my response to this would be that there's no way to determine an outcome, but one can make a reasonable guess for what will happen from personal experiences. Or if things are planned out well, there's a small chance of things going wrong. Now, you never know how your lie will impact things in the future. But based on personal experiences and knowledge, you can make an educated guess. And I think if a lie is small and harmless and you can be 99.9% sure that it will not have a negative outcome, then it's still okay. Yes, you can't be 100% certain of how it will come out, but there's never certainty to anything. And to base not lying off the fact that there's no certainty towards that is unrealistic. An example of this would be some of the kids that happen with kids all the time. They're in class and the teacher is trying to collect homework and they say, oh, I left it in my car, I'll bring it to you at lunch. When, of course, the kid hasn't done their homework and is quickly finishing it in the class. This is a sort of lie which isn't necessarily good, but if I see it happening every day at school, and 99% of the time it doesn't have any negative outcomes. The kid turns in their homework, doesn't get a lower grade, the teacher gets the homework, and nobody's really knowledgeable. The teacher isn't knowledgeable of the lie that happened. And if a kid does this every single day, they can be pretty certain that tomorrow when they do the same thing, that it'll have the same outcome as it has the past few weeks. And I'm not saying this kind of lie is okay or justified. It's just an example of that. You can have personal experience and make an educated guess towards how things will end up. And honestly, the truth is everybody lies. Whether it's a small lie, a harmless lie, a lie to yourself, or a lie that you don't even know about, everybody lies. So it would be completely out of this world to say that lying is not, you shouldn't lie, and lying is unjustified, because in life, sometimes you do need to lie. It's like in the instance of a surprise party. That is a small lie. It is in no way harmful, but it was a lie to get things done. And my conclusion would be, in some cases, when there are little to no negative impacts, it can be justified to lie. And that is my presentation on lies and deception.